Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. In security news, you need to stop texting right now. Now, if you're an Android or an iPhone user, or that one dude that still has a BlackBerry, you need to stop using traditional text messages. You need to basically hear what I'm about to say that is coming from the FBI and the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency of the United States. And quite frankly, this is a big one because they are warning all of us Americans to essentially use encrypted messaging apps and phone calls wherever you can. Now, the backdrop here is basically a Chinese intelligence group, and they're hacking U.S. networks that are reportedly, quote, ongoing and likely larger in scale than previously understood. Now, these network cyber attacks are attributed to a group known as Salt Typhoon, and they're associated with China's Ministry of Public Security, and basically this has generated heightened concern as to the vulnerabilities within critical U.S. communication networks. Quite frankly, we've been running kind of fast and loose, and I think it's coming home to roost here. Now, the reality is a bit different here because without fully end-to-end encrypted messaging and calls, there has always been a potential for content to be intercepted. But now somebody is really taking that intent and turning it up to 11, and that would be the Chinese government. That's the entire reason why, the Apples, Googles, Metas, et cetera, they advise basically essentially encrypted messaging use, and they're highlighting the fact that even they can't see the content, which in Meta's case is a bit BS. I would say that's also a bit BS for Google and Apple, but we'll give them credit here in a moment. Now, an FBI official advised, quote, using a cell phone that automatically receives timely operating system updates, responsibly managed encryption, and phishing-resistant MFA for email, social media, and collaboration tool accounts. In other words, get MFA in your life, start using secure apps for messaging and calling, and we're going to talk about those apps here in this video/podcast/radio segment. Now, in terms of what is known about the Salt Typhoon attacks thus far, while the FBI basically warned that widespread call and text metadata was stolen, expansive call and text content was not, but they're not really sure, because here's the thing, and I quote, the actors compromised private communications of a limited number of individuals who are primarily involved in the government or political activities. This would have contained call and text content. So in other words, they were targeting, let's say, our politicians or those in the orbit of our politicians and actually getting call and text messages, not just metadata, which means they could get it on anybody, which means they could be scraping all of our information now. And quite frankly, the FBI and CISA may know that, but they may not be saying that in order to prevent a public panic. So fully encrypted communications is hands down the best defense against this level of compromise. And essentially, we Americans are being urged to use it whenever possible. So let's go through some of the common ones. I'm going to go through these quickly. So first things first, not a fan of WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the first one. It is owned by Facebook, aka Meta. I have done video after video, basically radio segment after radio segment, etc., on WhatsApp not being secure. We know that they've integrated AI. We know that Facebook and Meta have read their messages. Go see my past videos on my YouTube channel or my past radio shows to basically where I dive really deep into that and all the research that has gone into that as well. Also, Telegram is another one. Not a fan of that. Their CEO was recently arrested. They've had weird Russia connections, all this kind of stuff. So I stick away from Telegram. Now, another one you might not have heard of is Wickr, W-I-C-K-R. I've heard good things about this one in terms of security, but I've never actually used it. The one that I do use, and I'm a big fan of, there's actually two of them out there, depending on who I'm talking to, is one, Signal. Signal is known good. Basically, they don't collect data. They publicly say this. They are a known solid private messaging app. You can also make secure calls through Signal as well, and essentially it is free to use, but I do always encourage donation to Signal to ensure that they keep up. The next one is actually coming out of Europe, and it's called Threema. That's Threema. Now, I want to say the app is like $3 to $6, but that's essentially how they are paying for this network. And on paper, they're even more secure than Signal in the sense that they were the first ones to say you don't even need a phone number, just a unique identifier that you generate in Threema to communicate. Signal has now jumped on there, and so you no longer need a mobile phone number to basically communicate on Signal. You can give out this unique ID that is unique to the Signal infrastructure, and by virtue of that, you're obfuscating this. And finally, I would say there's a couple of different things that you can do, especially if you have an ecosystem of people that you message constantly, like let's say family, friends, all that kind of stuff. There's a couple of different things that you could do simply outside of normal text and calling, and that would be spin up like Slack. You can do a free version of Slack, which will give you the ability to essentially message your friends in a basically like a secure ecosystem that does not go through traditional call and text networks from like a Verizon or a T-Mobile or AT&T. And so by virtue of that it would be outside of the realm of what has been hit here. Discord would be another one. So you've got a lot of different options here. But the point is that if you're using traditional calls and texts right now, you shouldn't be, and if you are, make sure that it's not sensitive information. Like, oh yeah, I'll meet you, blah, 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 like, at 7 p.m. Well, if you're not meeting somebody to give them the nuclear codes at 7 p.m., odds are you're fine. Nobody cares. But if you're messaging or talking about sensitive things like, hey, the password to log into the server is this, and you're saying that over text, you are doing the wrong thing. So by virtue of that, again, Signal, Threema, or for ecosystem, Slack, Discord, there's a whole bunch. Just don't use regular texts and calls, because quite frankly, it's not just basically the carrier that can hear and see these things. It's a foreign government, and that's never a good thing. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, just please, attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.